last month. There's concerns about overstaffing, low pay, inmate deaths. What resources would you need, your department need, in order to correct that trend?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say that our condolences go out to any family that's been impacted, by the loss of life of someone that was under our custody. As an agency, and me personally, I take it very, very hard. It's something that we want to improve on. We're always seeking continuous improvement. So that's first and foremost. We understand that it's a human life that had loved ones that cared for them. And so it's something that we do not take lightly. It's a number of different factors. When we mention 27 deaths, for example, we think it's important to really take a deeper dive at each one. And for example, each one is investigated independently by an outside agency. So I think that's a good thing for the community to know, that it's an independent investigation, not led by us, so that there could be a fresh set of eyes and they could determine what happened. The vast majority died due to natural causes. And that's something that's very unfortunate. Many times we have individuals that come into our system. We process over 100,000 individuals that come through our doors every year, and many come with poor health. We have many that are older adults, for example, that have terminal illnesses, diabetes, and many other health factors that unfortunately they find themselves, here in the county jail as a temporary home, and tragedy might strike. We also have, a very serious, a high number of individuals that are here on very serious charges. For example, 800 are here for either murder or capital murder. And so sometimes there's already perhaps a history of assaultive behavior, and sometimes it doesn't stop upon them entering a corrections facility. It may be that they become assaultive with one another sometimes, or sometimes with our staff. And so we look at each one of those to make sure that our response was appropriate, that they utilize their training that's given to try to de-escalate situations, the duty to intervene, for example. All those are things that we look at administratively. But we also want to make sure that we're leaving no stone unturned, that if we could improve our corrections system delivery, medical, we want to do that. Our partner here, our medical partner, is Harris Health. That's the expert in our region in terms of community health. And so they're our partner here, and we want to make sure that we're working closely with them to deliver the best care possible. So we're looking at all the different factors to see how we can improve on the situation, and that we could try to, again, limit. But we also need the criminal justice system to move much quicker. Average length of stay, 200 days is unacceptable. It's too long. County jails were never designed to be that long. The average stay around the state is around 60 days. Around the rest of the country, it could hover around 30 days. It's meant to be just a temporary stay. And so we want to make sure that we're addressing that. Also staffing. While minimum standards may be acceptable in terms of a regulatory mechanism that's in place by the state, it may be that we may need more in certain areas to really be able to deliver optimal responses to different things. Our staff many times gets pulled in different directions. They're overworked. They should be paid more. And so we want to make sure we're working with county leaders so that we could all be solutions oriented. And we want the public to have trust in the type of system that we're operating here in our community. And it's incredibly challenging when we're dealing with high crime in many of our neighborhoods, and we want to make sure that we're holding individuals accountable. But on the other side, we want to make sure that we do it in a fair and in a way that reflects procedural justice.
I don't know where all of the county commissioners stand, but at least County Commissioner Ramsey said that he would be in favor of a new facility. He thinks it's long overdue, and that we should be able to find money within the budget to accommodate that and pay detention officers more. How much money would you think your office would need to make those improvements? If the county commissioner says, or the commission as a whole says, what do you need, Sheriff?
Yes. Well, I think it's twofold, and I think you touched on two important aspects. One is making sure that we do look at our facilities. I think that, in my opinion, they've reached their end of life. The buildings that we have right now, with the exception of this one and our joint processing center, were never really truly designed with all the best practices in mind. And so, for example, some of our facilities for housing don't have any natural light. Just natural light could be therapeutic. Our population's grown since many of these buildings were first opened up as corrections facilities. So they've reached their end of life. It's very costly. Some of the parts are no longer available. Maintenance and all that is very hard. So I would say we need a strategic plan just to see what works not only now, but for the future of our county. I think that's very reasonable and the smart thing to do. Let's let the evidence and research guide our decisions. I think instead of saying let's add more, because I also think we over-incarcerate, to be quite frank. I think that we need to find what the right number would be to keep up with population growth, where we want this to be a growing region. But it may not be that we need necessarily a new, additional. It may be that we just need a replacement. And I think that that's the key, is to look, maybe we just need to replace a dated building with a more modern view and reimagine jails in our community, which I think could be a positive. On the area of staffing, we are working on a staffing plan to see what that right number is. We believe it's more than what we have right now, but we also want to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money and be responsible and make sure that we're just not adding more people that maybe aren't needed. And so it's a matter of trying to find what that right number is. And so we're working with that with the county budget office to try to determine that based on staffing analysis.
I know community and civil rights activists have had press conferences recently calling for an oversight from an outside agency like the Department of Justice. What's your reaction to that? I know that you did reach out to the FBI to look into at least 2 cases. I think it was the Pillow and the Simmons case. Why those 2?
Yes. Well, again, I think that we understand the concerns. We believe this is of critical importance to the community, making sure that we're operating a safe and just jail system. It's a responsibility that I do not take lightly, or our team does, and we talk about this every day. So we understand the concerns, and we support that. I proactively, last week, even before the more recent requests were made, I proactively reached out to the FBI and requested, for the sake of transparency and openness, to make sure that they're looking at things. We want to make sure that we're operating in a procedural just way, that they can review these cases, in particular for any potential civil rights violations. And so we welcome that degree of oversight. We think, in light of the concerns that are out there, that let's bring more set of eyes that could help make sure that if there's corrective measures that are needed to do it, if there's accountability that's been missed somewhere, that we do that. We took swift action in the case of Simmons because we felt there were concerns at the beginning. That's obviously still being played out. And sometimes it's hard to comment on specific cases because many know that we're very transparent and open. Generally speaking, on these cases, we're not investigating them. And so that's why sometimes we just can't speak about particular ones because we're not leading the investigation. On administrative, we do. And on these particular cases, because obviously they've drawn attention on an individual was indicted on serious charges. And so we think that case, and then a more recent one because it happened and the communities obviously expressed concerns, we thought, let's let them take a look at it, and then we'll take it from there.
Last question, and this is from KPRC2 Investigates. How do you feel about the new interlocal agreement between the county and city going into the rodeo? And do you see more agencies talking and putting plans together as a result?
I'm not familiar with the interlocal agreement. I'm not sure which one it is. If it's specific to the public safety measures, we do meet with all our different partners about safety. And especially in response, obviously, to the Astroworld incident, there is a lot more collaborative nature, making sure everyone has a seat at the table, and we're working on the permitting process and things like that. And so I know we're working on that. I think that's a good thing. Obviously, again, we want to improve and make sure that things that may have happened in the past do not happen anymore. So if it's specific to that, I think it's a positive thing. I don't know all the details about the interlocal agreement, though.
Thank you for your time.